All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to go over the Kansas City Chiefs 2024 season, how it all went down, what they did in the offseason. So the Kansas City Chiefs, once again, made it back to the Super Bowl. They had the best record in the AFC. They won 15 games. And you would think, wow, they were really good this year or that year. But a lot of the wins you could point to and say, yeah, they got lucky or you know, they were helped. I know some people will say that. But look, the Chiefs are still a good team. But they weren't doing it how they were in years past, right? Like Patrick Mahomes did not have his greatest season. He had 26 touchdowns to 11 picks, didn't pass for 4,000 yards. The Chiefs really didn't run the football that well. Their leading receiver was Travis Kelce, who had under 1,000 yards. You know, but they won 15 games. And the season started off on the right foot for them. And I say foot. Isaiah Likely's foot was out of bounds. So they won that game by a touchdown. That could have went differently. The Bengals, they were trailing in that game. They got a takeaway, a scoop and score. It looked like they were going to lose, and then there was a pass interference call that led to Butker kicking a game-winning field goal. Then you also had them getting a fourth down, fourth down stop against the Falcons. They won 22-17. Then they won 17-10 against the Chargers, and that was the game where Rashee Rice tore his ACL. There was a friendly fire collision with Patrick Mahomes, and so he was out for the year. Then they beat the Saints by a couple of scores. There was a lot of one-score games with the Chiefs. A lot. So they went into the bye, and they were 5-0. Come out of the bye, we got the Super Bowl rematch against the 49ers. Brock Purdy threw 3 picks. Mahomes threw 2 picks. That was not a great game, but they were still able to pick up the win. They ran the ball for almost 200 yards against the Niners. They beat the Raiders 27-20. They beat the Bucs in overtime 30-24. They got the ball in overtime. Kareem Hunt scored the game-winning touchdown. You had the blocked field goal against the Broncos to win the game, 16-14, and then they went up against the Bills in Week 11. They were 9-0, and Josh Allen had the signature 4th and 2 run for the touchdown to put them up, by 8, and then they kicked the extra point. Mahomes, I think, threw a pick on the first drive of the game. He actually had 3 touchdowns in the game, but the turnovers were not good, and the Chiefs, they lost the game. But then they come back against the Panthers. They were up by a couple scores. The Panthers came back in the game, but Chiefs went down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal. Then you also had the bobbled snap with the Raiders. They ended up winning 19-17 there. Double doink against the Chargers to win that game. The Browns had 6 turnovers, 5 turnovers in the game against them. They won 21-7. Mahomes hurt his ankle. So, then they were like, oh, well, then they play on Saturday. Is he going to be able to play? And he did. They beat the Texans. And that was when they started to look – I thought they started to look like they were getting into a rhythm because they got Hollywood Brown back. Then they beat up on the Steelers. They won 29-10. Mahomes, 320 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And then I was like, they're going to do it again, aren't they? And then we don't count the Broncos game because they were playing their backups. But they beat the Texans. C.J. Stroud was sacked 8 times in the game. Very competitive AFC Championship game against the Bills. They were able to get the win there. And then we get to the Super Bowl, and just everything went wrong for them in that game. Mahomes was not getting great protection, had a couple of interceptions. One of them was a pick 6 to Cooper DeJean. I mean, they were down by so much. And, because they were the Chiefs, I gave them that respect. I was like, this game is not over yet. I started to get that feeling after the Cooper DeJean pick 6, though. I was like, I don't know if they're going to come back from this. But it's not over yet. But then the other interception happened, and they scored a touchdown off of that, the Eagles. But, yeah, I mean, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen Mahomes play. I definitely look at him and the Chiefs differently after that because now this is the second time in a Super Bowl where they got dominated. Xavier Worthy had a good Super Bowl performance, but everything went wrong in that game. I thought the defense kept them in it. It's just the turnovers became too much. And yeah, they ended up losing 40-22, but it was more lopsided than that. But yeah, looking at the regular season, like we went over Mahomes' stats, Kareem Hunt ended up being their leading rusher. He had 200 rushing yards in the game, or in over the season, 200 rushes on the season, 728 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco got hurt during the year. He came back, didn't look the same. Hopefully, with the whole offseason, he's healthy. He'll be back to being himself. Travis Kelce, like I said, was their leading receiver. He only had 3 touchdowns, 97 receptions, 823 receiving yards. Had a very disappointing Super Bowl. Xavier Worthy, 6 touchdowns on the year. Got better as the year went on, and he had a very good Super Bowl performance. 59 receptions for 638 yards in the regular season. DeAndre Hopkins, acquired from the Titans. He had 41 receptions, 437 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Noah Gray had 5 touchdowns on the season. Defensively, Nick Bolton had 3 sacks. Drew Tranquill. George Karlaftis had 8. Chris Jones only had 5 sacks on the year. But yeah, the Chiefs, their defense was still solid. And, looking at the stats specifically, you look at their defense. Their defense was ranked 9th in total yards allowed per game, 8th in rushing yards allowed per game, 18th against the pass, which is not great, 4th in points allowed per game, 18th in sacks, and 12th in interceptions. And then for their offense was really just middle of the pack. Total yards per game, they were 16th. Passing yards per game, they were 14th. 22nd in rushing yards per game, and then 15th in points per game. So, the offense, again, when Mahomes first became the quarterback of the Chiefs, they were an offensive juggernaut. That has not been the case the last couple of years. And despite that, they have still made it back to the Super Bowl. Now, in the offseason, they signed Elijah Mitchell. They signed Jalen Moore, both from the 49ers. They signed corner Christian Fulton from the Chargers. They brought back Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. They also signed Robert Tonyan, another tight end. They signed Gardner Minshew. Brought him in to be the backup. They did trade Joe Thuney. The Chiefs are going to have to revamp the offensive line in the draft. They are definitely going to have to. I think that position will be addressed at some point. So, yeah, you got that. I don't know. I feel like with receiver, you got Rashee Rice, you got Xavier Worthy, but I don't know. I feel like they still are missing something on offense. I don't know. Maybe in 2025 their offense will be back to being explosive again. Defense, I could see them maybe addressing a position here or there, but, running back, because of this rich running back class, maybe they add another running back. But, look, the Chiefs are going to be fine. They are still going to be a very good team in 2025. But, like I said, I do look at them a little bit differently. But everybody at the end of the Super Bowl, see, they were frauds. It's up to these teams now, when they go up against the Chiefs, you got to bring it. Because the Chiefs capitalize on your mistakes. So, Anthony's saying hello in the chat. What's up? We're talking Kansas City Chiefs here. Happy to see you tuning in towards the end of the show here. But, yeah, the Chiefs are going to be fine. Now, going forward, we'll see how long Travis Kelce continues to play. I was willing to give him another chance after 2023 because he had such a good postseason and, they won the Super Bowl. But, yeah, he does not look like the same player. He doesn't. And especially in the Super Bowl. Now, next year, could he prove us wrong and he goes out there and he has a great year? Maybe. But, he's going to have to show it. And, yeah, it's not like he can't make plays, but he can't do it at a consistent level. I think that's really what it comes down to. I don't think there's absolutely nothing left for him. No, but I do think that, he's not the same. He's not the same player that can take over a game like he was. So. But, yeah, it's a long offseason for the Chiefs, though. Having to get beat up like that in the Super Bowl again. That was worse than what happened with Tampa. It really was. But that's a credit to the Eagles. The Eagles are very good. They deserve that. And it's not like the Chiefs are coming in as an offensive juggernaut. Their offense was not very good throughout the year. But you figured because they were the Chiefs, because you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, that they were going to do it. And they didn't. So, Yeah, we'll see what the Chiefs do in the draft. They'll be picking towards the end of the first round. We'll see what they end up doing. We'll find out soon enough. But that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows on the network as well. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the videos on both YouTube channels. Make sure to check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Sports Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.